Greetings. Before I start, I'd like to get it off my chest that I feel like I've been missing something on my channel for a long while, and that's just kind of the personality that I have associated with my channel. So when I make content, I make it because I just want to be myself, and I want to produce stuff that hopefully can help somebody else or make them chuckle or anything. And that's kind of why I do it. And I feel like when I stopped talking about myself and what I'm going through and what life for little old 3-chord funk is like, you stopped seeing the behind the curtains with my channel, and you just started seeing it as a TF2 channel. Maybe you still see it as me, and if you're one of those people, I thank you. But this video is going to be one of my first attempts to start bringing it back to my smaller, homely channel that I started it off as, and I would like to continue being. So, aside from the sniping gameplay in the background, it's not going to be too relevant to what I'm going to be rambling about for a while. I'm going to be rambling a bit today about a problem I had persisting growing up and one that I still struggle with. It's nothing major, but it's something that probably everybody that has ever watched one of my videos has caught on to at some point. If this is the only video you've ever seen me make, you've probably caught on to the issue already, and that is that I have a lisp, which is not a major thing. If you don't know what a lisp is, it's basically when somebody has trouble saying specific letters or sounds or phrases or anything like that. So growing up, for me, I had a very harsh lisp on my S's and to a lesser extent my R's. The R one I finished very quickly. I learned how to do it. But back then, I had difficulty saying R, which basically meant whenever I said red rabbit, it would sound like wed wabbit. And whenever I said Sally sells she sells down by the seashore, it sounded like Sally sells she shells down by the seashore. That's what it was like growing up for me. And it was very, very difficult for me to get rid of the S-lisp. If you can hear me right now, you can probably still hear it. That's not something that I can catch myself on. I still can, but it's difficult. I don't know why. It's just difficult to correct myself to sound normal. I don't know how many of you have ever had to deal with lisps, but pretty much none of my close friends have lisps, but I do know people that have had them. And when I see them with it, it kind of gives me an idea what they went through growing up. Now, it's no diversity that you have to start a charity over, and it's nothing worrisome, and I don't think I ever even got bullied over it, besides like my older brother, or shit like that, but we're all cool now, so that's not a big deal. The impact that this had on me was really not socially or by anybody else, but rather my opinion of myself. So, I love my parents to death, but I'm the youngest of 3 boys, so, and my 2 older brothers don't have a lisp or anything, so I was a first for my parents having to deal with that. And what my mom would love to do is whenever we were in public and she caught that I was saying S wrong, she would like grab my shoulder and be like, it's not shush, it's S. And then I would like, my cheeks would turn super red, and I'd be like, oh, it's the S. And it made me super, super, super self-conscious of myself talking. To this day, I still struggle with that sometimes. I've probably done 100 takes on this video alone, but part of that is just because I wanted to figure out what I would like to talk about. And I'm very confident what I'm talking about right now is something someone out there can probably relate to, and get a feel of what life is like if you have never dealt with something like this. Like I said, it's not a big deal. It's pretty much like a birthmark. It's nothing you see and you're like, oh, that poor person. You see it and you're just like, why is it so hard for them to make like a normal S sound? From what I remember taking speech classes, it's something to do with the placement of the tongue, where basically I have a lisp, meaning a lot of times when I make that S sound, I would block my teeth with my tongue, and it would come sounding like this, because my tongue would just be sitting there in the way. For whatever reason, I've learned now that's dumb, and you don't want your tongue to be your tongue to be in front of your teeth when you talk. And even though I don't do that now, for whatever reason, just how I form my lips when I talk, it still produces some sort of a shishy, sloshy, wet sound whenever I make an S. For the most part, I've gotten rid of it, so you won't notice it too much if I do end up talking, but it's still there, And whenever I talk to people about my voice, they usually say it's the defining thing about my voice. That and because I sound 15. But I usually sound 15 because I have this very slight lisp. It was much worse when I started off YouTube too. If you go back to videos I made months ago, my oldest video was made October 2014. My second oldest video was made like January 2015. So it's been just over a year that I've been doing the YouTube game. And the further back you go, the worse the lisp is, the worse my talking is, how I talked, how confidently I talked. It was all sloppy back then. It still is sloppy, but again, it's very hard to just jump and change these kind of things. So like I said, I was really self-conscious of myself growing up. Not just because of the lisp, but also because I was overweight when I was growing up. Keep in mind, I'm not anymore. I'm like 155 pounds, and I'm 5'11", so I'm pretty standard weight nowadays. But growing up, I had a lot of these diversities, which, again, I don't like using the word diversities because it's not like I was going through some sort of traumatic experience. It's not like I had some sort of difference to my body that was different from anybody else's. I'm the same as everyone else, but I did not have confidence growing up because of all of these things. I was just a slosh ball that would go day to day with my friends being particularly silent. And it wasn't until I started doing YouTube that I really came out of my cell. My cell? I'm doing the opposite. My shell came out of my shell and became a confident speaker. I'm not that confident of a speaker. You'll notice that I still stutter a lot. The stuttering is part of the lisp. Whenever I grew up and I messed up, I would just freeze up. My brain would be like, wait, you messed something up, you need to say it again. And then now my brain's just hardwired to immediately think that I messed something up whenever I talk. So a lot of times you'll notice it's not as bad in videos because I can edit out things, or I can take multiple takes and you won't notice that I do stuttering, but you'll still notice it time to time. You might catch it, and if you do, good for you. You've caught my insecurity. Good job. But the whole point of this video is if you are one of the people out there that went through the stuff that I went through, whether it be having baby fat in your face for way too long, whether it be having a dumb voice, whether it be having a lisp that for whatever reason you can't get rid of because you know what to do with your tongue. You know how to move your lips, but the sound's just there. It's natural to you. And I'm okay with that. Like nowadays, I think it's endearing. I like to think that my voice is endearing. You hear it and you aren't threatened. But I mean, I can talk like this. I can talk really pissed off. Is this endearing to you? Probably not. Probably sounds like I'm a idiot. But anyways, if you're one of those people, you're not alone. It's probably easier nowadays because maybe we know more about fixing lisps early on. But yeah, lisps are just something that exists in society, and I felt like it's something I should spark a discussion about. If you're somebody that has a lisp, tell me your story. Tell me what you went through, what you're going through now, or whatever your story is. Because I read my comments. That's another thing. Whenever I have comments on my videos, I go out and check all of them, you know? And if I miss some, I will eventually see it. So have a discussion with me. And if you're somebody that doesn't have a lisp, but you're curious about stuff, you know, you can ask questions. Maybe other people will answer. Maybe I can answer. This is not a charity case. This is not a pity party. I'm just telling you my story. The stuff I go through. The stuff I still go through. That's everything. I'ma go edit this audio to not have so much background noise because my room has 0 AC and it's really hot, so I have to go edit out the fan noise. Anyways, I'll see you around. Thanks for listening for all of this. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. But whether or not, here I come.